Welcome back, lovelies. Today is a Tuesday, and as you can tell, we're doing a bit of a beauty company deep dive into why we probably shouldn't be supporting them, because, you know, a lot of corporations are bad ones. But anyway, I think that everyone kind of knows that there's like a lot of tea, a lot of bad stuff that's happened with lime crime, so that's what we're talking about today. So obviously, like, I've never actually bought from lime crime myself. I knew vaguely that they were bad, but I didn't ever actually really know like all of the reasons as to why. And so then I started on this video, and it's like, wow, that's a lot. So lime crime is like really cute. Like, I fully get it. Like, unicorn pastel pretty beautiful palettes, like fully get it. Like, you know that I love color. You can tell I've definitely tried to do a bit of a theming thing because purple is apparently a thing for them, whatever. And honestly, like, when I was looking at these pictures, it made me really miss having pink hair. I have done like a little bit of pink in this, but until my hair is fully repaired, I can't actually do it. So this is what, 6 months of growth? I've got a long way to go. So lime crime was founded by Doe Deere, but her real name is Xenia Vodotova. She was sewing colourful clothes to sell on Etsy along with a number of other people in the early 2000s, and then couldn't find beauty products to actually be able to match the brightness of this. So she launched the brand in 2008 with unicorn lipsticks kind of launching in 2009. So you youngins may not remember this time, but like back in the day, oh, I was still applying my makeup with my fingers and with the little sponge tip applicators that come in products, and I thought I was like the bee's knees. So this is the kind of time that we're on about then. Dark days. But now we've got this like wonderful capitalism has taken over with this beautiful rainbow full of like whatever you could possibly want with makeup, and that's the world we're living in now, which just takes all of our money, and it's like, what, a multi-billion-dollar industry now. But back then you didn't really have like kind of easy access to like good quality alternative sort of things. Like, it just wasn't as much of a vibe. MAC was considered to be pushing boundaries back then. That's the time we're on about. You'll need a big cup of tea for this, or maybe a wine, or whatever you need to just get through this stuff, because we're on a bit of a deep dive. So obviously I'm creating this look. It's summer here, so I really wanted something summery, and it just goes with this cool stick-it-in blouse I'm wearing. So yeah, let's just dive into it, shall we? Everything that I'm using is cruelty-free, vegan, and not owned by parent companies that test on animals. Also, don't forget to check me out on Instagram, by the way, and also subscribe, because I know that a lot of people aren't subscribed, and that kind of hurts my feelings a little bit, so please do subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And also tell me the next beauty company you want me to do a deep dive into, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot more for me too. If you didn't know, I've already got a playlist of companies I've already done deep dives into, so I'll have that linked at the end of this video as well for you too. Without any further ado, let's get into this hellstorm. I don't know what else to call it. If you see injuries on my hand, don't worry about me. I fell over because I was distracted by a dog when we were on a trail, so I fell into a ditch. So I'm that vegan. I'm that person. So back to the real culprit at hand. Who in the double ding dong hell is Doe Deere? And yes, it is going to be really hard to not keep inserting those clips, by the way. She's Generation X, creative, quirky, and apparently inclusive. She was born in 1981, so she's going to be like 42 this year. She's originally from Russia, but then she moved here when she was 17, which must have been really, really hard actually. Like, as someone that had to move across the world when they were 15, woohoo. I feel sympathy for her. Also, she wanted to be a mermaid when she was a child, which is another thing that we've got in common, but I think that the similarities end there, at least. I hope so. So back in 2007, she was 27 when the whole scandal happened, just so you kind of know the timeline and what you may have been up to when you were 27. And she also married a guy named Mark, who actually helped her found the brand Lime Crime as well. And also back in the MySpace days, she was in a fairy tale rock band called Sky Salt. What is it with bad people and trying to have music careers, right? Doe, Jeffrey, James. Early on, she says that she attended the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City, but then let me just read this quote from her. This was to study fashion design and illustration. Though I enjoyed it, I ended up dropping out early to start my own clothing line, Lime Crime. Yes, that's how I got the name. You know what? As someone that doesn't think that schooling is for everyone, all good, all power to you. If you can just start your business without it, that's totally sweet. Also, from this same Beautylish article from 2012, yes, I have gone back in the archives for this. You are very interactive and personal with your customers. How do you translate their needs as well as your own into a tangible brand? Groundbreaking journalism, by the way. If I were to describe my approach, I would say I'm a listener. I take great interest in people, their needs, their struggles and dreams. I like to ask questions and really listen to what my customers are saying. Then I take that and marry it with my own wishes and desires. A great product lives in that space between me and my customer. It's always very personal. Yeah, let's just remember that gem. She's a listener. Okay, so pretty much all of this has sounded very squeaky clean. I just sort of wanted to give you a bit of background into like exactly who she was. You know, it's very much alt girl, Lolita style Pinterest, which is a vibe that I still really appreciate. Like, I love the look of that stuff. Like, I fully understand it. That was kind of like her, very creative and very artistic. Even though there have been accusations of her stealing designs, including from Sugar Pills Amy, but you know, let's just... Okay, before we get into the scandals, let's talk about Lime Crime as a brand. So they officially started in like 2008 with the whole Etsy thing, and they had their Velveteen lipsticks in 2012, which was like a huge success. They specialized in kind of like quirkier colors which weren't really easily available. So some people try and say that they're the first people to do it, even though I know the Lip Bar, or you may know them as TLB, sold at many Target stores across America, a black owned brand as well. They were on Shark Tank and stuff. Like, I've already talked about them. They were already doing kind of like quirky colors as well at that time, so I wouldn't necessarily say that they were the first, but I would say that they were part of the early starters into like the whole realm of like getting into alternative lip colors that weren't just like pinks and reds. And then you've got things like the Venus palette and the many iterations that comes in. Like, I know that people have raved about this. So they had colourful eyeliners with a brush tip in 2012, which is revolutionary. Oh my goodness, brush tips make all the difference. And they had things like carousel lip gloss. They had a whole bunch of incredibly like playful, colourful, like unicorn sort of vibe things. You know, like with shades like Teddy Bear, Airborne Unicorn. It's very much giving me nostalgia for that time. But also it does look like their products are kind of like trying to aim for younger people as well. Like, when you look at the packaging, it does look quite juvenile. It's not just me that's thinking that, right? Oh, and then unicorn hair launched in 2017 as well, because Doe had been creating her own hair dyes for a few years, and then they launched that with unicorn hair. I'm not gonna lie, the colors are really, really cute. So obviously they've had all of these and many more products which have really like, you get the vibe of the brand, right? Very cute, colourful, rainbow, pastel punk, almost in a way. And it definitely had, you could say still does have, like a cult following, but the following did kind of get shattered. You could say because of a few issues, which we're going to be talking about, which is why this video is so ridiculously long. So there are heaps of online allegations, and I'm not going to be able to cover literally all of them, but let me just tell you that there are literal websites dedicated to just trying to like categorize and have in like some sort of order all of the scandals that this brand, because of have really gotten into, and it's like, it's actually quite shocking. But I'm just reducing this down to the main ones, and ones where I could actually find actual evidence for, including about the sugar pill stuff. So basically like they both were starting around the same time, and it looks like Doe could have potentially, allegedly, been copying some of Amy's designs, and it's just, and she was also reselling stuff on, from the looks of things, like reselling kids sunglasses on and marking them up and stuff. And this is just what is alleged and out there. But like I said, I'm just going to focus on some of the big things. But I've got all of like the rabbit holes I was burrowing down. Oh my goodness, this was just sending me into a tailspin. But I've got them all linked down below. I've got two separate kind of sources, so you can go down the rabbit hole ones and you can go down the more like legitimate source sites. So let's talk about the scandals. Why do people not like this brand? You can't separate a bad egg from a cake that's already been mixed, just the same way that a bad apple spoils the bunch. Doe is Lime Crime, Lime Crime is Doe, at least until 2020 in my opinion. Shall we go by date? It might be easier. Even when they launched, the comparisons to TKB trading were everywhere. But the thing is, like, it's kind of known that there are brands that will like repackage private labeling, and that's absolutely fine, especially when brands are starting out. Like, I've definitely heard that Barry M did this, Morphe does, oh, sorry, did do this. People do understand that indie brands need to be able to get some capital to be able to get off the ground, and then they're able to actually make their own stuff. The thing is about the transparency, which is a word that is really not known to Doe, apparently. The thing is that Doe really tried to fight against these allegations in like a weird way, where she's got like a now deleted video that she was showing like the process of how involved she was with it all, except for the fact that she didn't actually show the process at all. There's like a blog post with like swatches, like, which I'll have linked down below for you as well. There was also this incident where she tried to sue a 13-year-old girl for photo credit. And then the infamous 2007 Hitler issue. Yeah, if you didn't know, she dressed up as Hitler for Halloween and blamed it on not understanding the culture and wanted to dress up as a monster, and of course like the most monstrous person you could dress up as was Hitler. This was a lot of reading into like all of the excuses, all of the things about this. It was a lot just on this one bit. So she's tried to make the excuse, honestly, that she is Jewish and that this was like a really traumatizing thing for her, and like she was trying to dress up as Hitler to mock him. You know, like I do understand that people do dress up and do parodies of people in the same way that people did with Trump when he was president. Like you dress up as them to mock them, and it's very, very obvious that it's done in a very mocking way. I don't know, maybe this is just like a taste thing, but none of like the way that she was dressing up was like a mocking sort of tone. It kind of looked like sexy Hitler, and I'm like, so her grandmother was Jewish, but was this actually Nana approved? Because, what? A lot of this gets blamed on the fact that she doesn't understand American culture when she moved. Okay, if you are Russian or if you've got Russian friends, how many of them, or how many of you have you seen like dressing up as Hitler at Halloween? Like she was trying to say that people did this whole dressing up thing at New Year's. I don't really know Russian culture, so that's why I'm genuinely asking. I couldn't find anything online about people doing this in a way to like mock him, so I'm like, I genuinely just don't think that this was something that was actually done the way that she was trying to do it. I know that like 2007 and stuff was a time where being edgy was really cool, and I am working on that 2000s video. I'm still making my way through a whole bunch of movies and TV shows to really like be able to get the essence of like the toxicity, okay? But that video is coming probably February. Let me just read this, okay? Because I watched her apology video, which was actually a live stream that she did in 2018 just before she sold the company, because you know you have to like clear up the company name, right? The thing is that this was a live that she did on Instagram and then uploaded it to her YouTube channel. You can only see the likes now, but the likes are so low on this in comparison to the views. Pretty sure that dislike will be very high. But during the video it felt incredibly manipulative. Like I didn't see her actually recalling back to like really horrific things, because I like to think that I've got a good tell on people when I can see when they're actually going through something, because typically I can, and it looked like she was fake crying to me. And then she's just like, okay, now on to my kitchen tour. Who wants to see my kitchen tour? Can I get a whole bunch of hearts in the chat if you want to see my kitchen tour? And it's like, then you're just walking around her house, and I'm like, are you really addressing, like, is this your apology video? Is like, this is in 2018. Apology video format was down pat at this time. That's why I'm like, it just baffles me. Then it's like, and now onto my kitchen tour. To me, it felt very disingenuous. But there was actually a statement that was made as well by Lime Crime's global general manager in this article in Wrecked that I was reading. When she came to the US as a teenager, she didn't have the cultural references and understandings of things as a typical American has. Her understanding of Halloween was that this was a time when people dressed up as monsters, and in her life, in her history, and in her heritage, the biggest monster was Hitler. So she put on a Hitler-like costume and thought she was doing something American, and boy did that backfire. I'm sorry, but even in terms of like a PR way to put it, like, that is so dismissive. We're literally living in a time of Nazis feeling bold enough to walk around the place now and commit literal hate crimes. There are reasons that this is not a person that gets dressed up as, you know, like casually. Like there are reasons why people were really nervous about movies like Jojo Rabbit coming out, you know. Like this is, and that's even now. Like, even in 2007, even in the edgiest days, even with the dark humor that I still do appreciate, like, it never even crossed my mind to dress up as Hitler. Like I said, I do try and understand where everyone's coming from. I really, really do. With this, I just couldn't, and it just, the way that it just got brushed aside feels really disgusting to me. Anyway, that's my take on it. You can have your sound off in the comments below. On her blog post, people were perfectly fine with it, which was disturbing. Someone even dressed their baby up as Hitler, and I'm like, what? I'm sorry, what? Change the topic completely. No, we're not doing a kitchen tour. We're talking about negative reviews and blogs. Doe was actually really trying to shut down any potential negativity that was coming out about her brand. Any negative reviews or anything like threatening people, like that was actually happening. So she actually tried to sue the founder of the first Lyme crime critical blog, Doe Deere Lies, which was by Michelle Jasinski, for damages to her reputation, lost sales and more. Lyme crime alleged that Michelle's post cost the company like just under $250,000. In an interview with Vox, Michelle was under the impression it was based primarily on the copyright, although defamation was also alleged. Luckily, it was voluntarily dismissed, but Michelle also worked for an attorney, so she could actually get the blank email that was sent to her like checked, and they were honestly so perplexed as to how it even got passed through any legal system at all. Unless Doe knows people on the inside and is threatening them too, who knows. Do you know what else Doe did? She went after Temptalia. No one comes after Christine. I believe this was in 2012. I'm sorry, you're not allowed to attack such a wonderful person. So on the blog Temptalia, as you'll all probably know and have referenced many times in your life, same as me, Christine reviewed some of the products. And Doe wasn't happy because I read it. It was not all that great. She wasn't very impressed with the products, basically. The thing about Christine is she's always very honest, and like you can see from the swatches, you can see from everything, it's like, oh, this doesn't look good. So Doe did what any professional would have done, and she sent to her entire customer email list Christine's personal email address to go and tell her what they all thought about the lipsticks and how positive they found like their experience with lipsticks to be. And it's like, what the actual hell? You're a business owner. This is not high school. I don't know why anyone would think it would be so okay to dox someone. If Temptalia didn't have such a cult following, this could have so easily just destroyed her, and it put her safety at risk. Then in 2012, the China doll palette. Yeah, did me just saying that make you cringe? Had you forgotten about this? Do you cringe even more when I show you the white woman that got put in whiteface? And then let me just read you the product description too. Don't let her milky skin, pouty mouth and flushed cheeks fool you. Underneath the poised facade, there lies the heart of a tigress.
You didn't say that. Tell me you did not just say that.
So people were angry, and rightly so. Orientalism and fetishizing Asian cultures and people has been an issue for like centuries. But the thing is that, like I said, this was done in 2012. What kind of excuse are you trying to go under? Oh, artistic? An artistic excuse? Yeah, that's literally the excuse that Doe uses here. Even worse is her apology. So she wrote this in her blog in 2012. What is cultural appropriation anyway? To summarize, it's the borrowing of certain cultural elements by another cultural group. To be honest, I find the whole notion a little silly. Not all that pertains to race has to be racist. Just like not every cultural reference has to be met with opposition. What matters is intent. As an artist and a human being, I have the right to be inspired by and wanting to explore, adapt, and otherwise express myself through things I find wonderful.
All right, I apologize.
Really sorry.
I'm really, really sorry. I apologize unreservedly.
You take it back.
I do. I offer a complete and utter retraction.
Like the condescending tone for one, what the hell, thank you for mansplaining. I know that she's not a man, but like basically that's what she's doing here. On her high horse saying that it's artistic, and just the audacity to like not even listen to anyone. Like people were actually just trying to have a conversation and explain to her, she's like nah, and just was deleting comments. It was a whole thing. May I remind you, this is a business owner and a palette that got approved by multiple people. I know that her team was fairly small at the time, like what, 5 people or whatever, but what was that? She listens to her customers and she really values that, huh? And she does this tactic of defending like bad behavior, bad actions by saying it's all artistic and like all of this stuff a lot. 2014 and before, the fake vegan. So Doe didn't actually think that beeswax wasn't vegan. There was also another ingredient that was being used which actually got made by filtering through bone char, which was petrolatum. Like we know with the whole Jacqueline Hill controversy, no, not that one, not that one. this one, that when you say that something's vegan, it kind of has to be vegan. The definition is pretty clear on that as well, and if you actually were working with your suppliers as closely as what you say, then you would know all of the ingredients that are going into things, wouldn't you Doe? But she was labeling things as being vegan even though they actually weren't. So like outright lying and then just saying, but I thought it was, like feigning ignorance. It's like, I'm sorry, you are a business owner. Still on 2014, there's so much stuff that happened. So IMATS and the petition. So with all the stuff that had been happening, we haven't even gotten to everything else yet. People have been like petitioning for IMATS to like not let Lime Crime actually go and attend that. IMATS is like a huge thing in beauty, right? They normally went to these shows to like do all their Lime Crime setup and sell the products and like showcase all of the cool new stuff and all of that, but people are like, no, we don't want this, okay? We don't want, like, we're not here for this mess. And so a petition was going around and they were trying to get 20,000 signatures. They got into like 12,600 signatures on this. That shows you like just how many people were hating this brand even then. And also in 2014 you have the security breach. So from October of 2014, what had actually happened is Lime Crime's website got hacked. And what customers were doing is they were reaching out to the brand directly to like tell them what had been happening. They were getting flat out ignored. They were deleting comments. They were just like, no, nothing's happening. Don't look over there. Don't believe them. They're just trying to slander us. Like they never even bought anything. You know, like that whole like deflection thing. I can't actually see all the things that were being said, but what I'm saying is like kind of like the vibe of what they were giving off at this point in time. Just like, don't pay attention to them, they're just the haters, right? Not actually people with like legitimate concerns over the fact that their credit cards had money stolen from them that they couldn't get back. Remember that whole listen thing that happened before? Yeah, they really do listen to people. They listen so they can shut them up, in my opinion, but that's just me. Once all of this stuff had like gone too big to be able to ignore because it was so public, they addressed this on their social media and they gave people like a deadline to like let them know about whatever happened, and they were like, just go check your banks and then like hopefully they'll be able to get your money back or whatever. And it's like you actually only have like a limited amount of time to be able to get like your bank to like not let transactions go through. Like honestly, as a business, as soon as like a security breach happens, you need to notify people immediately. Like this is actually a huge issue. Like people were having thousands of dollars stolen. It started on the 4th of October of 2014 and went all the way to the 15th of February 2015. October, November, December, January, February. 5 months. 5 months. And you know what that 5 months means? The biggest sales time of the year. You've got Halloween with all of their quirky colors that could have gone down really well for their sales. Then you've got Black Friday, you've got Christmas, you've got New Year's, and then you've got Valentine's Day. All of these are very makeup heavy kind of like promotional times in the world, and this is sickening beyond belief. Like so many people just completely lost their money. But then what they did, they were like, oh, we're really sorry this happened. Here's a 30% off discount for next time you shop with us. As if that would even like begin to heal like the trust that had been broken. Just use us again and we'll give you a discount for spending more money with us. Because that's really all it is. What? It was barely even like an apology. And I'm sorry, 5 months. That's completely unacceptable. This was the thing that made most people that were kind of like on the fence just be like, nah, this is not acceptable, as soon as it actually affected their wallets instead, which is, it doesn't matter about the theft, cultural appropriation and threats. What matters is when it directly affects your wallet. Noted. Okay. So there was all of that stuff that went down and everyone was really angry about that. They even got called out by Jeffree Star of all people, which is like, what? I think that that was part of the petition reason as well, actually. Like, a lot happened in 2014. 2014 was like a year in flames for them. Then in 2015, we've got the FDA letter. There were a couple of ingredients that were listed on the side of some products. Ferric ferrocyanide and ultramarines, and they were listed on some products, and so people had been complaining to the FDA about this because it's not exactly like really safe to use on your skin around like sensitive areas like your eyes and your mouth, and like in particular when you're dealing with like your mouth and lipsticks and lip glosses, like you actually kind of ingest that stuff, so you want to be kind of like careful with the things that you're using, right? Like you want to make sure that things are kind of safe. So apparently this was a misprint, and what happened was the FDA had issued a letter out to Lime Crime, except for the fact that this got all blown up like huge, and so everyone got hold of it and they were all like, oh my goodness, the FDA is like pulling all of this stuff. It's actually like, no, it did come down to a misprint. But the thing is, like, the way that they handled this was, again, terrible, incredibly immature, and just unwilling to listen to anything. Like, really, really unprofessional, you could say. Like, because people were trying to reach out to them and they were just shutting down comments. Of course, another very mature thing to do as a business owner when you're dealing with safety issues with your products, with people being genuinely concerned about like actual issues. Very, very mature. They were just like flat out not replying to emails or Instagram comments and like deleting stuff again. It's just the same story happening again, 2015. And then in 2016, Rusty Eyeshadow. So Jaclyn Hill, again, just another friend here for you. But it wasn't just rusty eyeshadow, it was like also mold. I know, sorry, that joke was in kind of poor taste. I know that Jaclyn is probably trying. I don't care enough to support that stuff anyway. So this happened with the super foil eyeshadows. What people were finding was that you were getting like these weird discolored bubbles appear on like the edges around the eyeshadows, and then at the bottom of the pans they were rusty. And honestly, like, just seeing some of these exchanges, like, they're just like, oh yeah, but water is naturally in eyeshadows. There's water in this, sure. And honestly, just so much gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss about it all, being like, oh, nothing's wrong, actually it must be your fault. It must be your fault. Like, I think you've been applying it weird, like you must have been not keeping it well, and just whatever rubbish, or just flat out saying there's nothing wrong with it. No, what are you on about? Like,
out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
Honestly, I've never had this happen in all of my years of using makeup, which has been over half my life now. 2018, brushes from Aliexpress. So just so you know, the character of the brand was really remaining true. There were these beautiful mermaid brushes that came out from Aliexpress, and then a little while later they just popped up from Lime Crime, and it's like, oh, for $58. It was honestly just the same thing, and then the price had been hiked on it. Cool. So as you can see, like, this is really like this whole track record thing. And then we get onto another part of 2018. Gone, but not really. Doe actually sold the company to 10 Gram Capital Partners, with Stacey Panagakis becoming the new CEO. But Doe and her husband Mark would remain on the board. And she said, we'll provide key insight and guidance to the team to ensure we remain mindfully committed to our brand's mission and to you, our loyal fans. I will also still happily contribute to product development and even pitch in social media sometimes. So it's like the claws are very much still in. She definitely was not like exactly stepping down. This honestly feels to me like a golden handshake for what you do for like a racist grandfather or something. So you had Richard Gersten, a partner at 10 Gram, said, in an era of beauty brand proliferation, Lime Crime's authenticity and innovation stands above the rest. Lime Crime is a tremendous fit for our strong portfolio of beauty brands, and we look forward to leveraging our experience to help the Lime Crime team achieve its growth prospects. So this included being able to expand their product selling into China more too. But because this is all through e-commerce, don't worry, this is all still cruelty-free and vegan, and they're still actually Logical Harmony approved. So yeah, don't worry, if you have been buying from them, they are still cruelty-free. And then 2018 brings me on to the publicity stunt. So you know our wonderful Jay Kisser? She went to Lime Crime to like do an interview to like try and get to the bottom of everything and see like exactly what had changed, because she hadn't trusted them for a little bit as well because of like what happened with Doe, so she had chosen to like not be supporting them. None of this is hate on Jessica, by the way. She did the best that she could, honestly, but this was honestly like the most manipulative PR stunt that could have actually happened, and I feel really, really sorry for Jessica. So what they did is they invited her onto their property and had elusive answers. First off, you get greeted by a pregnant lady as well, so it's like, oh yeah, I mean, like, if you say anything bad, then you're going to be hurting her and her future child is in jeopardy. They met everyone, they were hugging people. When they arrived, there was food on arrival. They'd done this whole table display. There were gift bags, like, and not only that, but like the CEO, like with the most performative pink hair streaks, honestly. She was really laying down the elusive answers. Like the media training that the upper management go through, like it is intense and ridiculous, and I would know, like I said, you know that I'm an EA. So no one part of me trusted any of this interview after seeing this. And she did actually also do a follow-up, which was part of a Q&A. It's at like 22 minutes in, her and her friend did this. So I will link that down below for you too. So people have mostly forgiven and forgotten at this point. And like I said, I couldn't capture literally everything in this one video. Like this video is long enough, honestly. But I just wanted to be able to capture the main things. The thing that I'm still really wondering about is what the hell happened to Doe? So this is honestly the part I've been furrowing my brow over the most, because this is where it gets real cloudy, elusive. Because what exactly is Doe's relation to Lime Crime financially now? Because the thing is that in 2020 she stepped down from the board along with her husband to make, this was the most performative thing, to make space for BIPOC people to actually be on the board instead of her. And I'm like, okay, I get that this is like the Kat Von D thing, but woke, I guess. But the thing is that it was never actually made clear whether Doe still had shares in them or anything. Honestly, she said that she doesn't financially benefit, but does she still have shares? But you know, like I said, Doe is Lime Crime. Like, there's no escaping it. It screams her. Like, they've kept everything exactly the same, and I'm pretty sure that along with all these golden handshakes that no doubt have been happening, that she still is somewhere in the background there, still benefiting financially. But the thing is, I couldn't find anything on this, and I also have reached out to them. I haven't heard back from them yet, though they did say 1 business day. I still have not heard back from them. So if there is any response to the email I sent 2 very simple, clear-cut questions for them. If there's a response, here it is. So from my knowledge from Google and in real life, because I've set up a board myself, like I said, EA here, hello. So when you're actually on a board, you do typically get financial compensation for being on the board. And any board duties that you do, so you get an annual fee, and then any board meetings and board duties that you do, you get paid money for that, right? That whole thing with her saying that she wasn't benefiting since like 2018, it's like, well, if you were doing the board, then yeah, you have been benefiting for 2 whole years. But she's like, no, I haven't been financially benefiting. It's like, yeah, you also had creative control then still. Just because of the track record, there is so much of me that doesn't trust this whole statement of the fact that she doesn't earn money from them, because honestly, you'd be kind of like a fool for someone that has been so controlling to like not still be earning shares from it. There's a quote from a previous customer that I found on Reddit, which I really like, so I'm just going to insert that here for you. Until they personally pay for what has happened, issue an apology for the security breach and the former CEO's racism, change the current racist product names, rebrands they aren't associated with the former CEO, etc. They will remain on my note list. And another person who also got hacked, because that's just what happened. Now I receive a 30% off coupon in the mail last year for having $1,000 taken from me during those security breaches. Are you telling me I should expect more? You just... Sarcasm, obviously. So personally, I won't be buying from them, just because like there is so much shady stuff to do with the whole business, what it's built on, and it doesn't look like they've actually been working to make any tangible changes. So I've made it this far without buying from them, so I'm not going to like be buying from them at all. So that's me personally. Like I said, with all of this combined, I'm just like, there's no need for me to actually go supporting them when there are so many other like really good brands out there. It's an indie brand. It's not like there's other places that you can't go. Like, you have to actually seek out Lime Crime to be able to buy from it. If you want alternatives, like if you like rainbow kind of vibes, like the palette that I mostly used today was from September Rose Cosmetics, or there's BH Cosmetics, or there's Glamlight. So September Rose is actually black owned. I believe that Glamlight is Latina owned. BH is not an indie brand, but it's a lot cheaper. There's also even Colourpop if you're after that kind of vibe. And then if you want to have unusual coloured lipsticks, I know that heaps of people have raved about Black Moon Cosmetics. If you have any dupes or anything like that, please feel free to comment them down below. Did the sheer volume of all of this controversy surprise you? Because it definitely did to me. I was just on such a whirlwind, and the amount of tabs I had open, like my computer was overheating. honestly. Thank you very much for watching this. I hope that you've enjoyed this kind of tea session. If you have another makeup brand you want me to talk about, please let me know. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about Amy Winehouse. Like I said, I've got so many video ideas, but I haven't got a list of like beauty brands I want to do a deep dive into yet, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on that too. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Bye!